There's this kind of institutional thinking that bigger is better. We hear it all the time, but actually, there's a lot of maneuverability that comes in small. And one place that's really relevant is in intelligence agencies. So let me tell you, when I used to work on in Canadian intelligence on Five Eyes projects, let's say Project X, doesn't matter what it was, you'd be in the room, video screens for each of the eyes, and there'd be one person from New Zealand. Canada and Australia would have like two on screen. The UK would maybe have four. And then you'd look at NSA and there were 40 people in the room every single time. And it was very difficult to work with NSA, not because the people weren't great, but because there were so many of them that had to be involved in any particular project. It was hard to maneuver. It was hard to get things done. I mean, if you can imagine being a project lead, looking at those four screens, sitting in Canada, it's going to be really easy to work with New Zealand, especially because that person from New Zealand, when you go talk about Project Y, it's probably the same person in the room. And that small size can sometimes give you maneuverability. Think about it this way, what kind of companies do you like to deal with? When you have a customer service complaint, if you ever tried to get Amazon on the phone, it's really, really hard. But if you have a problem with your local store, you just walk over and deal with it. So there's a strength sometimes in small. And the reason I'm bringing this up today is because I know I'm Canadian. I'm seeing it all around me that there's a level of stress and fear in Canada about incursion by the United States, especially military invasion into Canada. And, the United States, for all that they have capabilities in intelligence and in the military, they're not omnipotent, omniscient. These capabilities are not infinite. Okay. They have resource limitations just like everybody else. I mean, the CIA, how much intelligence do you think they have on Canada? Not a lot. And you know why? It's not because, morally they didn't, want to come in here. It's because they have resource limitations just like everybody else. And Canada has never been a high enough priority compared to all the other places they had to get intelligence, right? It's the same with the military. The American military cannot fight in Venezuela, in Greenland, in Iceland, in Canada, and in their own country all at once. It's not like everything all the time, all at once, right? They just can't do it. They have resource limitations as well. And also the size of their bureaucracies in those institutions make it harder to maneuver. It's just the reality. I saw it all the time when I worked in intelligence. It had nothing to do with the quality of the people and everything to do with the institutional size. So I'm not trying to diminish people's fear and I'm not trying to dismiss it. What I am saying is that if bigger were always better 100% of the time in these situations, then these outcomes would always be known. Right? Everybody would just have giant militaries and we'd be constantly going up this size because bigger would always be better. And Afghanistan, things would look really different there because bigger is always better, but it isn't. It wasn't, and it hasn't been in military conflicts for a long time. I'm not saying smaller is always better either. What I'm saying is that the interplay of factors, the advantages that each size has, confer different constraints and dynamics in situations of conflict. And it is not 100% anybody's ability to predict what those outcomes are going to be. So Canadians need to, take heart and start talking about the capabilities that we do have. Yes, we do not have the size that the American military has. We do not have the scope that their intelligence agencies do. But we have some really sophisticated, amazing capabilities in this country. And most importantly, we can deploy them very, very quickly. Anyway, I'm sure there's questions or comments. Let me know. Let's talk about it. I think it's an important conversation to have. Other than that, as always, I hope everyone's doing well.